You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in. A faint sticker on the side reads, RCM Emergencies Desk number 8102, with a slogan. The box seems happy. Eat shit pig, fucked by the coon, and Sent G with a crown have been scribbled on it. Jenny is a whore, and best set mailbox also. The mail collection box seems cathartic, thankful even. There is a hollow ring as you kick the box. It sounds like it's mostly empty. Your toe hurts now. Your toe has suffered damage.
Cool. You really showed that.
He does not actually think it's cool. If anything, the lieutenant feels sorry for the poor box. He's leaning in to inspect the layers of graffito that deface it. The lieutenant pats the box, ever so slightly. Why place a tourist attraction?
There was a revitalization project in '49. A design studio tried restoring Martinez to its pre-war glory. They got as far as the street lamps and the statue on that intersection. Then something went sour. I suspect that something was Everard Clare, the union leader. He muscled them out. It's how it usually goes around here. We should have done something about the Union 10 years ago. That ship has sailed, officer.
Your money disappears into the coin slot. A clunk. The curtains on the display open. You lean in to catch the view. It's blurry. Different blues and greens. In the middle of the shimmer stands a drab grey shape, like a ghost. The lenses shift. The ghost sharpens into an islet in the bay. It looks as if it...
Really? I don't have the eyesight to make it out. Really?
Good morning, Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. I'm glad to see you here.
Like steel, there is strength.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from a...
It happens quicker than a shooting star. But this...
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group. Why, yes I am. The boat? No. It is called Cor de Leyte 19 because that's the type of sloop it is. It's a pleasure craft, a 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are. We are on Le Cap.
Technically, the neighboring Ozone and Fas Alamer island groups are archipelagos, while La Caillou, by contrast...
Okay, if you want to get technical. The point is, we're all on islands here, and sail is still the most expedient way to get from one island to another. Especially when you're in a hurry to resolve a strike. I haven't seen...
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued. It's for crossing long distance.
Neither is this.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich. Why what? Stop thinking. Take her down. Have it your way.
Officer, I assure...
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act.
Good. What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild...
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things, and that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is Saint-Baptiste, LUM, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star.
Why, thank you. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue. Yes, past a certain point, numbers begin to seem imaginary, but they are quite real for the 72,000 employees who depend on Wild Pines for their paychecks. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving and growing, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It is a tremendous... They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the centuries of care, deliberation and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. Taken everything from its employees to build it. You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? We built this district.
We. There it is. She owns up to it.
All the best parts of it. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, with its bastion. Before Martinez was swallowed by a company getaway, for a weekend or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution. But that's another... Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the coalition. Unfortunate.
You'd be shooting yourself in the
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
Wait. She just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. What can I say? The union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organization now. Yes, I believe there is a connection. Let's say...
And when did you...
I arrived 3...
But the strike began...
I wasn't the...
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess...
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
Mr. Clare told him to... Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Extremely. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union. There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. Every worker.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker a member of the board. It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines Group makes a decision, about what? About anything, just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position. A hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slow... And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. It is...
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he had...
If you were to prick it with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
Oh, heavens, no. We get along just fine. Yet, now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably... Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does. And when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes... It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed...
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect...
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Indeed, and a hungry one. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the leech always hungers. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She...
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore.
This forewoman, her name?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman in private correspondence, Holly. I don't even... Indeed. The company suspects foul play. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen...
Thank you for your concern, man. We'll be just...
Of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to...
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his...
How curious. Why is that, detective? I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please. Oh, dear. I do believe you, naive as that may sound.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be...
Of course, I sympathize. But I'm afraid I simply can't share...
She's a professional negotiator.
Of course. The situation is extremely... Of course... You're back. Good. What can I help?
This trash just your fingers start to itch.
We could try using a pry bar, the one you took from my motor carriage, or we could ask for a key from the map.
He might also have information.
Can I help you?
Thank you for clearing the data.
Why?
I thought...
Well, yeah.
It seems a little callous, doesn't it? Something stirs in you. Okay then. Maybe you're callous yourself.
What do you need them for?
It concerns the case.
Just bring them back once you're done. Can I help you? Yes. Have you for the drinks? 30 real. Like what?
This trash container is locked with a well... Don't. Maybe you shouldn't. Just a feeling. A warning. The smell of rotten food rises to greet you. You see soggy cartons, dirty rags, and organic waste.
We're just in time. This hasn't been emptied for...
It's just organic waste, cold and slimy on your... What's this? A blue piece of plastic sticks out from something larger. A clipboard.
Officer, is that your... It is, look. If you don't mind me asking, how did this get in the trash? Boring. Try dangerous. You should do a thorough inventory of that. Be sure some has... It would also not hurt to start taking notes on the case. Now, tell me what...
Some items, such as the ledger you found...
Among the threadbare kitchen towel, has the legs of the slime-covered...
The victim's clothes? Drop them in here. Guitar mark. The belt is...
Something slimy catches your... A drab long sleeve.
This is a military type of...
The rest of the rags are...
All right. We should go to Gart again and ask if he knows who put the clothes in the trash. It could be as simple as someone from the hostel cleaning the yard. Or that one. I'd advise against confronting that for... Not really. All we know is the victim...
The fuck's he on about? Kids? You hear that, Kuno? He thinks you're an infant or something.
See?
The lieutenant nods. You pick out a broken mug with an only in its social sense.
You've acquired an interactable item.
You see, milk, you've done this before. The movements are... A box falls into pieces in your hands. Batiste Soleil cereal. There are plastic pasta packages below. And turbo noodles. The container sounds a muffled gong.
That's one thing off the list.
It's just a racist mug. Oh boy, here we go. What are you going to say about a broken, tossed away mug? But it was in the trash. It's the ledger you found in the trash. A pitiful cabbage of white and yellow papers hanging from plastic board. Right. What more do you need? A rubber condom stuck to the back. A graffito that says, "The acidic stench of rotting food is rubbed off on the cellulose. It now forms, you know, like the bits they put into public piss bowls. probably called Fermi Discret. Remember when I said the smell of the upstairs bathroom was so rank they should have sent a poet to describe it? Why, yes it is, among many other things. This cleaning tablet is used by the whirling in rags. Perhaps that's where the ledger was dropped in the toilet. It's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to submission with. The edges are rounded, however. The U4 size board feels thick and heavy. Something rattles inside, and something small inside. Permeables. The plastic shimmers like lapis lazuli, but it is not see-through. You cannot see to its center. With your hands, U4-sized pages hang from the clip. Screw. The slides snap back into place. Without resistance, 2 ticket stubs and a handmade postcard. 2 octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other in the colored pencil. Thin wax paper has been glued to it. It smells a touch of cinnamon. The end familiar. A young woman in her 20s. Harry, it begins. Your fingers are sweaty. It's slightly, ever so slightly, an aluminium block. The surface is interrupted. Looks like an official mark.
What? That thing. It's a halogen watermark. We use it for adding... Okay.
While a bunch of sodden papers sag from the clipboard in your... It's made of dark blue. With your hands, without resistance or sound, the 2 panels move against each other. The compartment is now open. Inside, you see 2 ticket stubs, and it's slightly... They're not exact. Once in a while, work, strife, poverty. Yes, a title, one might say. Yes, others appear. It's going to take an effort to piece these case files together, but it can be.
You mean the alphanumeric? Officer, precinct, time of arrival at the scene? Oh, you mean the teacher? It's a holdover from the early days of... Again, I pray his rail spiked through the head. He died.
There is. Once all the tasks are accomplished, the case is complete. Sadly, the ledger only comes with an old, worn-down... The lieutenant, he is not really saying anything.
No, that I give...
The task you inspect, interview, it's not a things to be...
No, actually. Any ideas? Great. I'm going to start calling it the hanged man.
You don't exactly close them, so much as distance yourself from... Yes, you can piece them together using the alphanumeric code. Why, yes, every last alphanumeric in the files begins with it. And these are your case files. It's safe to say HDB are your initials. No, the alpha... Can't you see the sire is tired of these fabrication? Fine, it takes about half an hour for you to piece one together. Mr. Refi, this one, cause of the true people, the graffito crew is easy. The case files, the crew, a staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority. Did anyone ask you what you believe in, man with the smelly Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sod. It takes about half an hour to piece one together. Not much has changed. In the back, you see thin, then rip them from the binder. And 3. You don't have to be an intellectual giant to do police work. A monetary penalization. But they appear. These, all in a print, a dozen pages of... Yes, all that... The rest of the stinking cellulose is... Wow, you work hard. Oh, yes, you hustle. Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way. And you won't let it break you. A little. It ain't easy. Sure. Are you rich? That's right. You work harder than anyone. You almost rode yourself because of... Our tax is almost non-existent in the Gossamer state that you and I both... 98% of all your money. Here you go, hustler.